Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Harrah's Hoosier Park. Michael Chamberlain and Jacob Reinheimer here in the Dan Patch studio. And Jacob, it is the third and final leg of the Thoroughbred Triple Crown coming up on Saturday, the Grade 1 $2 million Belmont Stakes, and it's a very contentious field of 8. I know we were a little similar on the Preakness and our thoughts on that one, and we did obviously pick the winner. But I got to say, I think this race is really interesting.
I agree. I think this is going to be a great conclusion to the Triple Crown. I know all spring we weren't really sure what this Triple Crown picture looked like. No one was really jumping off the page, and I think all three races we got some really interesting storylines to come out of it, and I think it's going to set up a nice conclusion here because we have both the Derby and the Preakness winner in the Belmont.
That's right, and let's take a look at that Belmont Stakes field, a field of 8 going postward. As Jacob mentioned, the Preakness winner, Journalism, is the 8-5 favorite on the morning line, breaking from post position 7, and the Kentucky Derby winner, Sovereignty, is the second choice at 2-1, breaking from post position number 2. Third choice on the morning line is number 6, Baeza, who was a fast closing third in the Kentucky Derby behind both Sovereignty and Journalism. And the only other one in there in single digits is the 3, Rodriguez, the Bob Baffert trainee, who unfortunately had to scratch out of the Kentucky Derby following a very nice victory in the Wood Memorial. So as we take a look at the race and some of the thoughts we have here. I think this race is going to play a lot differently than the other two did. We all said, there's going to be so much pace in the Derby, and they're all going to go, and it more or less played out that way. Obviously, with the sloppy track, it affected how fast they were able to go, but the way the race played out, the come-from-behind horses managed to get it done. I think, after the Preakness and the fact that Journalism had a very rough trip, and he's now running the first two legs of it, I think Journalism at the 8-5 price may be the one bet against in here, at least as far as the win money, because I'm going with the 6, Baeza, who's 4-1, for this couple of reasons. One, he ran a very good Derby. He finished third out of the outside post position, the 19 hole there. Flavien Prat is going to ride again. Flavien Prat has ridden 3 of the horses in this race. He was aboard the 1 Hill Road for the victory in the Grade 3 Peter Pan last time out on May 10th. And he also rode Rodriguez 2 starts back in the San Felipe when he was third behind Journalism and Barnes in that race. So you're getting, I think, the best jockey going right now on a horse that is, I think, coming into this race sitting on a big effort. His last 3 Beyer speed figures, 93, 101, 103. He's working his way up as opposed to what happened with Journalism, where he went 102, 103, and then in the Preakness he threw up a 98. Now, again, granted, troubled trip, but I think that Baeza is the horse, especially at that 4-1 number, that I think is the most likely win candidate for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think of the 3 that are going to take the most to play, he's going to offer the best value. And I do agree with Journalism, to where I think this race really centers around how you're going to handicap him. I think there's going to be a lot of recency bias because he's the last one we saw where he overcame, that traffic issues, maybe a little bit self-imposed traffic troubles that he ran into in the Preakness. But nonetheless, he overcame them, and that was an incredible effort. But I think that's why he's probably going to be sent off as the likely favorite in here. And I thought Sovereignty beat him straight up in the Kentucky Derby. I didn't really think Journalism had an excuse in that spot. He raced very well.
Yes,
I don't want to hold anything against. It's still a fantastic effort by Journalism, but I think Sovereignty beat him straight up here. We're going 1.25 miles, so this isn't the 1.5 miles that we typically see in the Belmont. With us being at Saratoga, I'd love Sovereignty at 1.5 miles, but nonetheless, I think he's going to get a perfect trip. He's not going to have near the traffic he had to overcome in the Kentucky Derby, so I went with Sovereignty on top. Again, expecting a lot of the public money to go back to Journalism because of the recency bias from the Preakness.
And the other thing about the Journalism-Baeza combination here is in both of the last 2 starts, the Santa Anita Derby and the Kentucky Derby, Baeza darn near caught Journalism on both of those occasions. Baeza had to draw into the Kentucky Derby, isn't also eligible. As you look at the Santa Anita Derby, it only had 5 horses in it, which caused a lot of consternation for a lot of folks. But he ended up only finishing half a length, 3/4 of a length off of Journalism. In the Kentucky Derby, he ended up losing a photo for that second spot because they were both about 1.5 lengths behind the winner Sovereignty, maybe ahead. He was coming late, and he veered out in the stretch, which, of course, some of us think impacted Final Gambit's ability to hit the board, too. But I will say, I was impressed with the fact that he was running down the horse that everybody says is the class of this 3-year-old class. I like that coming in.
Yeah, and I know if you follow along horse racing Twitter on X quite a bit, he's kind of the popular horse where a lot of people think this is kind of the breakout horse in this division in the making.
Yeah.
I know I saw someone on Twitter say that Kentucky Derby is probably going to be the last race Baez loses. I'm not quite there yet. I need to see him beat Journalism straight up before I jump on board, and that's why I landed on Sovereignty. I still like the upside on Baez. I think it's coming down the road. It's just a matter of whether it's going to come this week.
And the one final point I did want to throw in here, there's only one horse in this field of 8 that has run in both the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and that is Journalism. Everyone, you had that long line of horses that won the Belmont coming in off the 5-week break between the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont, and spoiled I don't know how many Triple Crown chances from horses that had won the first 2 legs, and now you just have to wonder if Journalism's going to come into this race as fresh as the others, which is, again, especially given the fact he got slammed around and he had to turn on every afterburner he had to get there to beat Gosger in the stretch at Pimlico.
Yeah, that was kind of my thinking, too. I mean, I think he was as hard used in that Preakness as you're ever going to find with what he had to overcome. The fact that he came out unscathed again, being banged around, coming out of that last turn the way he was. Obviously, he's in incredible shape right now, incredibly sharp. But again, we've seen it time after time where it's not necessarily the Derby to Preakness that takes it out of you. It's the Derby to Preakness to Belmont where usually you see him take a step back.
Yes, so as we have our top 3, and I think they're the 3 that everyone's going to kind of look at. So the other horse we both used was the one, Hill Road, who won the Grade 3 Peter Pan at the Belmont at Aqueduct meet on May 10th. Got that win by 3/4 of a length with Flavian Pratt aboard. Now, Irad Ortiz Jr. is going to ride this time on Saturday. Second start off the layoff for trainer Chad Brown. Has 2 wins, one in Ireland, going back to last August. So that victory in the Peter Pan is the first win since that maiden breaking score going back to Ireland. But I thought Hill Road maybe offered the best price in this race, 10-1 on the morning line, and he's by Quality Road out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare. Lemon Drop Kid, a horse that spoiled the Triple Crown bid when he beat Charismatic in the Belmont Stakes too. So this horse theoretically should be able to run the 1.25 miles with no problem.
Yeah, and we've seen this movie before with Chad Brown, right, where he gears one up for the Belmont, opting to skip the first couple legs of the Triple Crown, and I think that might just be the case. I know you really like this horse, I think, going into the Tampa Bay Derby, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And he just had a little bit of trouble, very conservatively handled on that day, in a race where there wasn't a lot of speed up front, and that's when Owen Almighty kind of stole it on the engine that day. So Hill Road, I agree with you. Again, we've seen this movie before. I think if there's someone who's going to upset the apple cart of those top 3, he's the most likely to me.
And you mentioned Owen Almighty, and going back to Louisville, Owen Almighty ran a heck of a horse race in finishing 5th. He was on that pace most of the way around the racetrack, and the fact that he was able to stay on and finish 5th, I thought was a very commendable achievement for him. So the fact that this horse was beaten by Owen Almighty certainly, I think, makes him possible to definitely hit the board in this spot if one of the top 3 should falter.
Yeah, I agree. We were all a little uncertain. I know Owen Almighty, the connections were a little uncertain going into the Derby. Is he going to go or is he not going to go? He ends up going, and it paid off pretty well for him because you couldn't ask for much better than what you got from him in that spot.
Now, a couple we didn't use, we did want to talk about here. The 3, Rodriguez, Mike Smith riding for Bob Baffert. Obviously the team behind Justify when they won the Triple Crown going back to 2018. Won the Wood Memorial with that front-running score, and we all said, oh, well, he's going to go, and then they ended up not even going at all because he ended up injured and had to be out. So now he's coming back 5 weeks later, and I'm kind of the opinion that you are with Baez. I got to see it. But before I put him in the mix, I got to see how he is.
Yeah, they threw him in the Wood. Remember, they shipped him out east to kind of pick up the points to get into the Derby. He dropped and popped there. We all agree that Wood Memorial came up a little bit softer than what he would have faced out in California or elsewhere on that Derby trail. And give him credit. He did what he was supposed to do. He went out to the lead, fended off the likes of Grande, who were still a little uncertain about Grande coming out of the Kentucky Derby. So, like you, if he beats me at a decent price, so be it. But I think he's going to take quite a bit of play being trained by Bob Baffert in this spot. And again, if he gets me, shame on me, I guess.
Well, a couple other horses in here that are interesting. Speaking of Justify, a horse that was sired by Justify is the 5, Crudo, from the Todd Pletcher barn, one of 2 Todd Pletcher trainees in here. He also has the 4 Uncaged. Johnny Velasquez is riding Crudo, who won the Sir Barton at Pimlico going back to May 17th. And, that certainly by 7 1/4 lengths, which is the length of victory he's had in each of the last 2 starts. Third start off the layoff too, and with that lineage, justify. I could see Crudo possibly maybe trundling up there to be underneath as well, especially from the Pletcher barn. You can never discount that for sure. But I just thought the other ones kind of stood out above.
I agree. We kind of know what the rest of these horses
Right.
are, right? And they've established themselves at the top of this division. If a newcomer's going to join, I agree. Maybe you look towards Crudo based on what he's done so far. It's been a very quiet Triple Crown season for Todd Pletcher to this point.
Yes.
Even on the Derby Trail, very, very quiet. So wouldn't surprise you to see him pop up and pick one off here in the Belmont at last call. But again, we know that journalism, sovereignty, and maybe even Baeza have just established themselves as the top 3-year-olds in the country. And until it's proven otherwise, I think you have to roll with one of them.
And one of Crudo's owners is celebrity chef Bobby Flay. And I knew Crudo was a food term. And when I saw that, I said, well, there, that makes the connection. And the other one we did want to mention also was the 8 Heart of Honor, who finished 5th in the Preakness, 30-1 in the morning line here. The Osbornes teaming up again. Jamie and his daughter going to be the team behind this one. Was 2nd in the UAE Derby behind Admire Daytona. And that 5th place finish, kind of fell out of the picture and then rallied past some tired horses. Did make up some ground at the end, but he was very fractious the whole time. I don't know coming back 3 weeks after that if he's going to be top form.
Yeah, it was kind of so far back throughout the Preakness that he steered clear of the carnage that happened coming around the last turn. And like you said, I think picked off a few. It certainly paid off to pick up a check in the Preakness. Obviously, I know there were a lot of people uncertain about a newcomer coming in just for the Preakness, but they're going to try their hand at the Belmont, see if he can do it again. But I agree, that Preakness alone didn't prove enough for me to throw him on my ticket.
So again, Jacob is going with the Sovereignty to make it 2/3 of the Triple Crown. I'm going with Baeza to win the Belmont Stakes at hopefully get that 4-1 price and see if we get a little value out of this race regardless. But again, a fantastic program at Saratoga on Saturday for the Belmont Stakes. I think this is the last year they're doing this. I believe they're supposed to have the Belmont, new Belmont track built for next year, so we'll be back to the 1.5 miles for 2026.
Is next year when Belmont got the Breeders' Cup?
2027.
Okay, one more year.
It's at Keeneland next year, 2026, and then 2027. They're going back to New York for the first time in 22 years, which is a very long wait for New York to have a major sporting event.
Will be a nice change of pace. I know Del Mar and Santa Anita, it's been in California an awful lot here the last several years. It's going to be a nice change of pace to get that back on the East Coast.
But I will say, I do love it when they go to Keeneland. Well, then next year's in Keeneland, so I'm looking forward to next year's Breeders' Cup already. So anyway, again, I am on Baeza. Jacob is on Sovereignty, and we are going to have our live racing program as well here at Harrah's Hoosier Park. This race is supposed to go off at 7:04 Eastern Time, so we will be in the midst of our racing, and we'll probably take a short break there to get the Belmont Stakes in, but we do look forward to having you out here for the Belmont Stakes. Do you have anything going on Saturday?
Going to be a nice day. We've got some Belmont promotions going on the kiosk, so you'll want to check that out. We'll have some different things. We also have the kickoff of our Hot Bebop concert series, so we'll have live music out on the apron starting at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. We're kind of getting into the summer swing. The weather hasn't necessarily been very summer-like here the last few weeks. I think we're starting to get in that groove.
It's starting to get there. It's getting there, though, slow but sure.
But we're getting there. We're going to have live music on the apron. We've got a whole carnival coming to town next weekend. We're looking forward to that. So we're starting to get into summer here in Anderson, Indiana, and we're going to have all the festivities to go along with it.
Absolutely, and we certainly look forward to the warmer temperatures. I know some of us that are from Arizona do, because, those winters are a little tough on certain folk around here. But anyway, so we do hope you'll be out here for Saturday to enjoy the third leg of the Triple Crown, and we certainly hope you've enjoyed this video series that we've done, the Road to the Derby all the way through, and now through the Triple Crown as well. And I want to thank you, Jacob, for all of your contributions as well, as I know we certainly have had a lot of fun doing this.
Absolutely. I always look forward to it. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully one of us can have another winner.
I would like to end the season on a high note. Oh, one other note. Final Gambit is in at Churchill on Sunday. Don't think I won't have a few dollars on him on Sunday. I'm telling you that right now. So for Jacob Reinheimer, I'm Michael Chamberlain, wishing the best of luck to you all.